Manchester United 1-0 win against Everton. 5 things learned as duo show glimpse of future Old Trafford dynasty, Premier League, on a rain-soaked Monday evening at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. Manchester United ground out a narrow but significant 1-0 victory over Everton in a contest that was far more about grit than glamour. It was not a match filled with flowing football or sustained spells of technical brilliance. Instead, it was a battle, scrappy, physical, and at times chaotic, the kind of fixture that often defines a side's credentials far more than a routine home win ever could. While the scoreline was slender, the implications felt larger. Between Benjamin Šeško's decisive contribution and LAMMENS' commanding presence in goal, there were unmistakable signs that United may be laying the foundations for a new spine, one capable of anchoring the club for years to come. Add in flashes of brilliance from Matheus Cunha and a collective show of resilience, and this was a performance that revealed character as much as quality. Here are 5 things we learned from a hard-fought Premier League triumph. 1. ŠEŠKO makes his point when the team sheets were announced. There was understandable surprise surrounding Benjamin Šeško's place among the substitutes. The Slovenian striker had been in red-hot form, scoring 6 goals in his previous 7 appearances, including clinical finishes against Burnley, Fulham, and West Ham. Momentum appeared to be firmly on his side. Instead, Bryan Mbeumo was handed the nod to lead the line from the start. On paper, it was a tactical call. Everton, under the guidance of David Moyes, set up to make the contest aerial and combative. Long balls, second phases, and physical duels defined the early exchanges. In such an environment, Mbeumo's mobility and ability to drift into channels offered theoretical advantages. Yet in practice, he struggled to gain a foothold. Everton's centre-backs were aggressive, dominant in the air, and eager to turn every passage of play into a scrap. Šeško's introduction came at a pivotal moment. Everton had begun to grow in confidence, pushing United deeper and testing LAMMENS with deliveries into the box. The atmosphere swelled with every corner won and every crunching challenge applauded. Then came the moment that silenced it. It was not merely the finish, though that was superb, but the composure surrounding it, fed through after a swift transition sparked by Cunha's defensive intervention. Šeško showed ice-cold precision. One touch to steady himself, another to dispatch the ball beyond the goalkeeper. No panic, no hesitation, just the assuredness of a striker brimming with belief. That is now 7 goals in 8 games, a run that makes his benching feel almost impossible to justify moving forward. With Crystal Palace awaiting next, he could hardly have offered a stronger audition to reclaim a starting berth. More importantly, Šeško is beginning to demonstrate something beyond goals. There is a maturity to his movement, an understanding of timing, and an ability to impose himself physically without losing technical sharpness. United have long searched for a forward capable of blending presence with precision. On this evidence, they may already have found him. 2 on-the-ball errors were king if there was a defining feature of the contest. It was the sheer volume of misplaced passes and heavy touches in midfield. The slick, vertical combinations that have increasingly characterized United's approach under Michael Carrick were largely absent. The weather played its part. The rain slicked the surface and accelerated the ball unpredictably, turning routine control into a challenge. But credit must also go to Everton's approach. David Moyes identified early that rhythm would be United's greatest weapon, and therefore something to disrupt at all costs. His side pressed in bursts, broke up play with tactical fouls, and ensured the match was fragmented into a series of stoppages and aerial duels. It was not aesthetically pleasing, but it was purposeful. The result was a midfield littered with turnovers. Passes went astray. Players slipped under pressure. Promising sequences fizzled out before they could develop. Yet herein lay the irony. While Everton succeeded in preventing United from dictating tempo, they fell victim to the same disorder. For all their territorial spells and physical dominance in set-piece situations, their own execution in the final third was lacking. Crosses sailed beyond their targets. Knockdowns found red shirts instead of blue. Moments that required calm instead produced haste. United's goal, in contrast, came from one of the few passages of genuine clarity, a defensive intervention, a sharp vertical pass, and a clinical finish. In chaotic conditions, moments of quality often decide games. United produced 1. Everton did not. 3. Cunha showing both sides of his game. Matheus Cunha encapsulated the evening in microcosm, frustration and brilliance separated by minutes. Early in the second half, he had the opportunity to release Šeško with a perfectly weighted through ball. The space was there. The run had been made, but Cunha hesitated, perhaps seeking the ideal angle rather than the immediate one. As he adjusted, he slipped on the sodden turf, squandering the opening and drawing groans from the travelling support. For some players, that moment might linger. Instead, Cunha responded with urgency. Tracking back to disrupt an Everton throw-in deep in United territory, he wrestled possession away and immediately lifted his head. What followed was extraordinary. A sweeping, inch-perfect pass that bypassed midfield and found Mbeumo in stride. Within seconds, the ball was threaded into ŠEŠKO's path and the net rippled. It was a sequence born of instinct and audacity, two qualities that define Cunha's game. He is, undeniably, high risk. There are occasions when his decision-making frustrates. When the flamboyant option supersedes the pragmatic. But Carrick's system relies on unpredictability as much as structure. In matches like this, where patterns are disrupted and space emerges suddenly, having a player capable of conjuring something from nothing is invaluable. Cunha may never be the safest presence on the pitch. Yet nights like these underline why he remains indispensable. Football often hinges on a single flash of inspiration. Cunha delivered it. 4 LAMMENS won the game for United goalscorers claim headlines, but goalkeepers preserve victories. LAMMENS' performance was nothing short of authoritative. Everton bombarded United's penalty area with corners and free kicks, each delivered with intent and backed by a roaring home crowd. Bodies collided. Arms flailed. The ball ricocheted dangerously. Through it all, LAMMENS was calm. He commanded his area with assurance beyond his years, punching decisively when necessary and claiming high balls under heavy contact. One reflex save in the second half, tipping a deflected effort over the bar, proved particularly crucial. This was his first away clean sheet for the club, and it felt symbolic. United have long sought stability between the posts, a figure capable not only of shot stopping but of instilling confidence throughout the back line. LAMMENS radiated composure. Defenders trusted him. The tempo of his distribution, even amid chaos, suggested a goalkeeper comfortable with responsibility. It would be premature to speak definitively of dynasties. Yet glimpses matter. If ŠEŠKO hints at a new era up front, LAMMENS suggests similar promise at the other end. Strong teams are built through their spine. On this rainy night, United's looked resolute. 5. The type of win that shows who you truly are. Perhaps the most telling takeaway was not tactical or individual but psychological. Winning at home, in sunshine, with momentum and crowd support, is the baseline expectation for ambitious sides. Winning away, in adverse conditions, against opponents determined to unsettle you, that reveals character. Everton created an environment designed to frustrate. The crowd fed off every tackle. Every clearance was cheered like a goal. The rhythm was broken repeatedly. It was uncomfortable. United bent but did not break. There were periods when they were pinned back, when the ball refused to stick, when the game threatened to spiral into desperation. Instead of retreating into anxiety, they tightened their structure. Midfielders doubled their defensive efforts. Forwards tracked back. Communication increased. The final whistle felt earned. Michael Carrick's influence is increasingly evident. His tenure has emphasized cohesion and mental resilience alongside tactical nuance. The United of previous seasons might have crumbled under such persistent pressure. This iteration absorbed it. There was no flamboyant celebration at full time, just handshakes, embraces, and quiet satisfaction. They knew what they had achieved, not beauty, but belief, a glimpse of something greater. It would be simplistic to overstate the significance of a single 1-0 victory in February. The Premier League campaign remains long and demanding. Yet matches like this linger in memory. They serve as reference points, reminders of growth, maturity, and the emergence of new leaders. ŠEŠKO's continued ascent hints at a striker ready to shoulder expectation. LAMMENS' assured clean sheet signals security at the back. Cunha's duality embodies risk and reward. And the collective steel displayed in a hostile environment suggests a squad evolving together. For Everton, there will be frustration. The structure worked for long stretches. The physicality unsettled. But football ultimately rewards decisiveness in both boxes. On that front, they fell short. For Manchester United, the journey continues. The Hill Dickinson Stadium may not be remembered for spectacle, but it may be recalled as another brick laid in the rebuilding of something durable. A narrow scoreline. A broad statement. 3 points secured. And perhaps, just perhaps, a glimpse of a future Old Trafford dynasty taking shape.